Yo, 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 we back. Fresh episode, Talking Game. I'm your host, Anthony, LT, King, Yellow Tape King, whatever you call me, Tony, whatever you call me, lets me know what I was on when you was fucking with me. And we're back with a super special episode with my guy, Connor. What's going on, man?
It's going good, man. I'm so happy to be here. Like you were saying earlier, I had you on my podcast, so I had to come on and man, I'm happy to talk game anytime, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Hey, and we said we'll do like a home and home. Hopefully, going forward, your busy schedule, we can try and figure out more times to, figure things out, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
I like to say it's busy, but I will always make time for stuff like this, man. Being able to just talk sports, talk baseball, man. It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So I actually did my little research on you this time. I know you was, looking up for me. So from Sherman Oaks, California.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Always sunny, California. Was baseball always like your first sport of choice coming up?
I think it was pretty much solidified as number one from pretty early on. My parents got me involved in everything besides soccer. So, that was the one sport they didn't want to go watch. So I was getting involved in everything except that. There was even a little gymnastics side project. We don't need to talk
Really?
about that. But, I dropped football in middle school, dropped basketball in high school, and, I've always known baseball was number one. As a fan, it was number one. And then, once we got to high school, started seeing some real Division One talent. When I was 16, 17 years old, I was still realizing that baseball was for me.
Was for you. And you said you dropped basketball and football. What made you like, was it just the love for basketball? I mean, baseball, or was it certain things? Because I know I always joke, you want to play football until you like actually got to get tackled. And then that's when you realize if that's the sport for you or not. And then basketball is just one of those things. I think we all have a realization of like, oh, there's some really tall people out here. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna get that tall. So like what was it like? Was it just the love of baseball or was it like other factors that like was like, yeah, I'm good on those sports?
That's a great question because you know what? Looking back on it, it was a whole lot of other factors. Like football. This was flag, so I never even got the chance to get tackled. But
Okay.
I was a skinny guy for my age, so I probably would have got rocked. But in flag football, it didn't matter who was skinny. But
Yeah.
if you weren't fast, you were playing the line. So I was playing flag football, O line center.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was enough for me, man. I was like, Coach, I'm sorry. I know how to play other sports. Like this is just not going to be it for me. If this is the future here, I don't think I'm going to end up as an O lineman coach. So, I had to go ahead and move on from that one. And then the basketball. It's funny you bring up. You start seeing taller guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was never the cockiest guy on the court, but I
Yeah.
could always hold my own. Get to high school, I'm thinking I'm going to try out for the team. I get there on the first tryout. I know a couple of friends, and I see this guy. Everyone's calling him Z. You may know him because he's in the NBA right now. His name's Zaire Williams, man. Sharing
What?
the court with that guy, oh my God, it was unbelievable. So it was the only real vivid memory I have was that, towards the end of the first couple practices, there was a scrimmage and I got to be on his team and he had passed me the ball once and I shot a three and I airballed it right in front of the coach. And he's like, "Hey, I love the confidence in that stroke." And at that point I knew it's probably not for me. And I don't know. Like I holding the rock from this guy was just like making me shake in my hand. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me.
I'm gonna let the guys who probably gonna go lottery do what they're gonna do.
You know,
And
ended
then,
up being all right.
yeah, cool. Was there a moment coming up that you like a particular moment? Because you said you played everything, but was there a moment where you were like, or that you can remember that I love baseball, like more than anything else? Was it like a play? Was it like a championship in Little League? Like, was it something that made you be like, this is it for me?
you know, that's another good question to reflect on, man, because I don't know if I could point to really one specific moment in time where I kind of had that revelation, like, you know what, baseball's going to be it for me going forward. And, I think a lot of what I can credit that to is the growth that I was able to have at a young age in baseball, because like I said, with those other sports, I dropped football early, basketball, I always felt like I was a decent player, but I never, I would say, grew too much as a player. I never reached that next level from where I was at whenever I stopped playing. And for baseball for me, right around, it's crazy. Like when I was 12 years old, honestly, was right when I really started to hit that kind of stride, grew a little bit, always knew what I was doing, but finally, had the body to really do something about it. And, you know, I think overcoming that obstacle of, accepting that you're not the best guy on the field, even though, maybe when you're young, you think you are, and then,
Yeah.
realizing that, hey, I still got a lot more work to do, and then putting in that work and seeing the results, man. I think, baseball was so rewarding in that way, and that, you could really see the people that worked hard were getting rewarded, and I think that was really my favorite part of baseball, that grind and being able to be with those guys. And, I was in it for so long that I couldn't imagine anything else.
That's cool that you say that, and it's I can't wait to show this to my 14-year-old. He plays baseball, and
Yeah,
like, that's what I'm trying to make sure to keep preaching to him. And it seems like he's getting it or has got it. Actually, I'm not even gonna say getting it. You got to love the grind in the process
that's right.
because that's most of it, right? The game is only a couple hours,
Of course.
a day, but it's all the practice, the weights, the studying what you do right or wrong. Like all that is that's the meat and potatoes of playing baseball. So
Yes, sir. If you need one more piece of advice, tell your 14-year-old, my only regret for my entire baseball career, and I played D3 baseball, is that I didn't get in the weight room earlier. I think that would have done wonders for my career. And, I was kind of hesitant and didn't really start consistently lifting until the end of my junior year of high school. So
really.
that definitely set me back in terms of where I could have been, coming out of high school.
Well, that's what I'm having him do now. We starting lightweight. I don't want to go too crazy, but just so he can get the feel of being in the weight room. And now it's getting to the point where I think it was Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I was tired as hell. And he was like, "We going to the gym?" But I was like, "Yeah, let's go." I might not do as much as you do today, but we're gonna get in here together. Let's do it. So yeah,
Right.
it's cool that you say that. And he's been doing it, but I'm gonna show him again because as kids, they gotta hear it multiple times. They gotta reiterate it.
Definitely. I envy my younger brother who's a football player who lives to be in the gym, because that was just never me. And he had that really early on. I'm like, dude, you're going to be a beast, because, he had no problem being in the weight room from sun up to sundown. So,
Gotta love that. Gotta love
mhm.
that. So you drop everything, you go through high school, you're playing baseball, you're going through as a pitcher. Did you play any other positions in high school?
So yeah, high school, I was not just honestly the last thing I considered myself in high school was a pitcher. I was all hitting forward. I was a big infielder. I had a tumble when I was 11 years old in center field that moved me to the infield, and who knows, it was actually the best decision ever made. Because yeah, no, in high school I ended up playing a lot of corner infield. Funny enough, if you were doing your research, you're not going to find too many high school stats on me, because
Oh,
freshman sophomore year, well, freshman year I went to Notre Dame High School, very
okay.
well known in the area for
Yeah.
producing baseball talent. John Carlos Stanton, Hunter Green, etc. So after my freshman year, I transferred to Crespi, where I played my sophomore year on JV. So obviously no online stats there. And then my junior season, I was set to go ahead and be the everyday first baseman, and we played our first game. I remember it because we faced then Vanderbilt commit Sam Laboki throwing low nines,
Jeez.
and the day after that, we were going to go see another hard pitcher, and coach had us on the bunt machine, cracked me in the wrist, out for the entire season.
What?
Senior year, go ahead and chalk it up to COVID. I was having a good fall, but we got maybe 6 games in before it was all said and done. And so, luckily when I was able to get to college, I was still able to, have the baseballness readiness under me. But like, I didn't play that whole summer going into college, whereas those guys up in Oregon, Washington had a full summer of ball.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, my confidence was a little shaken. My swing didn't look great. So, after my coaches gave me my freshman season to maybe figure it out, and after that, I even kind of had the self realization that maybe pitching is going to be the way to go for me to impact this team in the future. So
How did COVID and being hurt and just like the peaks and valleys of your high school career, how did that affect college and offers and like scholarship situations?
it was incredibly hard. For me, I was playing luckily with a lot of respected summer ball organizations. I'd luckily built up a semi bit of a reputation around here, just for even though I didn't have a lot of high school stats, coaches loved me. I was a good ball player. I wanted to be out there more than anybody else. So it definitely gave me a lot of opportunities to go ahead and play for some high profile summer teams and travel teams. And that was really where I was able to get my looks in terms of getting into college and getting those offers. And then spring break during my junior year, I was hurt, right? but I still knew I wanted to play baseball. It was never something that I had any doubts of. And my mom is from Oregon, and we just happened to be taking a trip out there for spring break. So we were like, let's just go tour all the schools in Oregon. There's a lot of D3 schools out there as well, and sport management slash working in sports was in my mind. So we were kind of looking at those schools, and we went out and found a bunch of them. And then luckily enough, the school I ended up going to, Linfield, was a school that I visited, met with the coach, loved it, ended up going back out a few times, and before they extended the offer. But not having high school stats like that made it really, really hard to go ahead and get those looks or a text or even a response. So
It was gonna be my next question. It was like, so how did you go about getting the looks? But shout out to mom, man.
yes, mom was. I mean, yeah, there's some brutal instances of me not even being willing to go ahead and talk to the coach and her just dragging me out of the car. Like, trust
Yeah,
me, I was not always as forward as I am right now, just to be even able to talk on camera. Like, was shy about going up to these coaches because, man, I didn't have anything to, you want to go into that negotiation in a position of strength, you like to say, but I had nothing backing me. I'm just like, hey, I'm a great ball player with no stats, and I'd love to come play for you. And any coach at that point would be taking a risk on me for sure. So
for
it was
sure.
it was fortunate.
Oh, that's cool. I know mom is proud. And that's pretty cool. So you go to Linfield. Um, how did that you said your first year, you basically like red shirt, right? They looked at basically like a red shirt
Pretty
year.
much. Pretty
Pretty
much.
much.
If I I still got 2 years of eligibility left in the tank. If I really wanted to argue the NCAA, I could probably get that one back too. But
All I'm saying is NIL is still out there. You can
hey,
you can go get you some money.
that's what I'm saying. If I, the bananas have always seemed like a great alternate. So who knows? Maybe if I just need to go get a year or two, I'll go play D3 ball to get myself back in shape. Who knows? Maybe I'll see a bananas come back. I've always kept that in the back of my mind.
Hey, I'm down. And I'm
Packaging it for those 2 years.
trying to be third baseline, catch you throwing for the Savannah Bananas, man.
Let's do it. I'm in.
So you have the year off. You go into year two. You already know you're a pitcher by year two. You're locked in as
Yeah.
a pitcher.
So going into year two, I knew the spot for me was going to be pitching. I mean, we had some older guys at the corner infield spots as well as just my bat wasn't catching up, and unfortunately, it was a really hard part in my career, just in terms of the mental side of the game. I don't think I've ever struggled as much as I have really that sophomore season because I went into it as a pitcher thinking, if I do everything right, this is really going to be my shot to make an impact early. And, I did feel that. And it was hard because I was still struggling through some arm injuries and, maybe didn't have the exact velo to get myself on the mound at that point. But, still knew that I could compete against anybody. We're doing scrimmages against our own team, and I'm competing. So sophomore year, stayed on JV. I ended up traveling towards the end of the year, which was pretty cool to do because we were making the playoffs, and coach just knew I was a guy who clicked with the rest of the team, so he wanted me in the dugout and as kind of that last option out of the pen. So that definitely gave me a lot of confidence going into my junior season where I was able to have a handful of innings under my belt. Don't check the ERA, but yeah,
I
was
did.
able to.
I'm just I check. I will say
Uh,
this. I'm all for the confidence. You got more than a strikeout per inning. Okay.
hey,
So,
I'm glad you found the one good stat,
so we're
baby. I was a
gonna,
strikeout guy.
so we're gonna talk
Sometimes.
about that. You were a strikeout guy. You're
Yes,
making
sir.
sure you're getting the swings and misses, man. So that's we're all positive on this podcast. As long as we're not talking Red Sox, it's positivity. All
Of
right.
course. Unless we're talking about Rafael Devers' defense, baby. Never forget. Love
Yeah,
that.
for sure, for sure. Well, you speak about like the hard times. What were some of the things that helped you get through those things? Because I can only imagine you feel like you keep hitting the wall, whether it be injuries or just the realization of like the level that you're on, that you want to not being where you want to be. What are some things that helped you get through that moment in those trying times?
Yeah, it's another great question
Or
because I mean,
people.
yeah, no, it was a little bit of everything, man. My roommate was in it with me. My roommate at the time, same age, but he was already making an impact on the team. His sophomore year was his breakout year. He went ahead and had what I would call a mediocre season to set him up for an all-star junior season, which is what he had. And, he was a big part of that, just being there every single day, seeing what I was going through, knowing when I was hurting, when I wasn't, just to, keep that confidence in mind. It's like, sometimes anybody who's played sports will maybe understand this, who's had a coach who you maybe don't necessarily want to bring an injury to because you may think, that's going to be the end of you, or the injury is going to be that, it. And, one of the biggest reasons why I was able to continue playing was because I did end up going to my coach and being honest. And, my roommate really helped me with that. And, obviously as a teammate and my family really helped me with that too. But just being honest with the coach, because I was in a bad spot with my arm and it was really affecting up here, obviously, because I was trying to, act like I wasn't having any issues with my arm.
Yeah.
So, it was a whole vicious cycle with injuries and mental toughness. But really just, once I was able to tell my coach, I was able to, you know, like commit to PT. It's like, okay, I can't pitch for this extended period of time because I got to work myself back. And, that ended up being the best thing for me that whole summer in between my sophomore and junior year. I got in the best shape of my life, which was why I was able to go ahead and be an impact player that junior year.
That's cool. That's cool. And then junior year come, no senior year. You forego senior year.
No senior year. That's a story for another time. But yeah, at the end of my junior year, funny enough, I went and reached out to our broadcast coordinator.
Oh,
Still with the idea that I would be playing baseball in the spring, but was like, hey, I want to get involved in this. Like, it was really kind of just a spur of the moment thing. And we're a small school, so I knew students got involved in that sort of stuff. And I was like, hey, like what can I do? I know this is the end of the year. What can I do for next year? This is going to be my senior year. This is something that I think I'm really interested in. And, how can I break in? So luckily enough, the dude was like, have you ever played volleyball? We're always looking for somebody to call volleyball right when the school starts. And I'm like, yes, yes, I have. Yes, I have played volleyball before. My volleyball experience maxes out at sixth grade lunch period with,
yeah. Yeah.
slapping the ball out on the recess
All I
yard.
know
So
is when the ball hit the floor, that's a point. That's it.
exactly.
And when you spike it, when you hit it down hard, is a spike. That's
Yes,
the
sir. And that's
that's
when you
the
get amped up.
that's the extent of my volleyball knowledge. But hey man, some of the best opportunities comes with little fibs, little, yeah, I can do that.
Little, just a little white lie. I prepped my ass off for that season too, and there were definitely some flaws, mistakes I was able to point out with my own work, man. But it, definitely set me up to go ahead and you know be the baseball broadcaster for the entire season, and that really solidified the fact that this is what I want to be doing with the rest of my life. I was able to go up into the booth and call games for the guys that I had been alongside with for 3 years. There's nothing more fun than that. Obviously as a player, you want to be out there, but seeing your teammates succeed, sometimes there's nothing better than that. And the reactions I was able to get from families and whatnot. Our booth didn't always have the most knowledgeable baseball mind up in the Linfield Sports Network. So hearing me, with different insights and a different understanding of the game, I got a lot of great feedback, and it just made me think that this is what I want to do. I want to bring this love that I have for baseball out to others because I used to argue with, my middle school friends day in, day out that baseball wasn't freaking boring, man. I went to a soccer, oriented middle school. It was nuts. I was obviously, like I mentioned before, the one sport I'd never even played. So,
Yeah, that is crazy.
reinforcing the baseball, man. I love it. And, I believe other people can love it. And, I just love how the game's growing and I just want to help contribute to it.
That is cool. What? So you mentioned that you were looking in sports management and those things for school.
Yeah.
What made you transition and pivot to be more into the look more into the broadcasting and the media side of sports?
Yeah, I had some really, really fortunate experiences through my first couple of years at college. After my sophomore year, I was able to intern with the Milwaukee Brewers Stadium Ops Department.
Nice.
So, obviously, an incredible experience at the major league level, being able to see how a stadium gets ran day in and day out. So, that gave me a whole lot of insight into the operational side of everything. And I was able to do some more internships on kind of, the front office side of things. And that's where I always envisioned myself, at the beginning of this, sport management career journey was in a front office, having that dream of being a GM to be able to be the guy that makes those decisions, which obviously I still think would be an incredible job. But,
Yeah.
I realized once I got behind the mic, man, that I love spreading that love for the game and that entertainment value that you're able to get through baseball. This last summer was able to intern out in Tennessee with Ripken baseball, where I had a great opportunity to go ahead and MC their home run derbies for their hundreds and hundreds of kids every week. And it was kind of boring, so I brought it up to them. I was like, hey, I feel like I can make this a more interactive experience. Like, get me on the mic. let's make this home run derby a real home run derby, not just a BP session for these kids when they're paying so much money for this experience. This is like such a huge part of it. It's a home run derby. They're not going to get to do this anywhere else. So, we really upped the game for them, and that more examples of reaffirming the fact that I love the entertainment side of the game, and seeing that product that you see on TV when you're not able to go to the games, being able to get engaged with that. I feel like all those things are so huge for me, and are big reasons why I love the game. And it's just, I think after having some more experiences in sport, just kind of led me to that entertainment side even more.
Gotta love that. Shout out to Connor bringing the eyes to the game. And
Trying,
hey,
man.
hey, man, we all do our part. You know, no one has to lift a lot, right? So, Smokies, you are now, well, you go from interning, you create your podcast, Countdown Podcast, great podcast, very knowledgeable. You know what I'm saying? You guys make sure that I'm gonna be honest with you. Watching your podcast, make sure that I'm on my shit when it comes to my baseball knowledge. Can't be slacking. Um,
Awesome.
and so was the podcast pre Smokies or was it after Smokies or is like all kind of in the whirlwind of entertainment life you living?
Yeah. So when I was out in Tennessee this last summer, I was there because I was interning with Ripken Baseball. And,
Okay.
when I went out there, I looked up every single minor league team within a day's drive. And luckily, the Smokies were just 20 minutes up the road. And so to give you more of a timeline, I was just helping them out kind of on the side over the summer because I was able to connect with one of their head broadcasters. Obviously, I'm going to work for him now. Shout out Mick Gillespie and Richie Giuliano.
Shout out
Great
to him.
people. But yeah, I mean, I was going to help them out, and yeah, I traveled back from Tennessee to Los Angeles, just kind of not vlogging my way there, but I was doing stadium tours, and I wanted to go see as many stadiums as I could on the way back with how much I could fit in financially,
Yeah.
just spreading it out and making content throughout it. And podcasting is always a platform that I've noticed, and I've noticed some of my favorite sports analysts, influencers, really create and help build their platform, and also just stay in tune with their craft as someone who didn't have a direct outlet to continue to broadcast up in a booth. This was something that I took, really seriously, in the fact that, when I get on this camera, this is something, I want to be proud of. And yeah, so and seeing your guys' product only made me more excited to do stuff like this, and seeing other people in the community who are also creating and just doing it because they love it is my favorite thing to see, man. So I'm so happy that, we ended up connecting through this, and yeah, the podcast was just basically my outlet to keep doing it before the next opportunity comes.
And the next opportunity is here.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is. It's coming up fast.
The next opportunity is here. Hold on, let me make sure I have the title right from my boy.
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure because I'm not just gonna call you a analyst. We have the broadcast and media relations assistant,
Yes, sir.
Hunter
Yes, sir.
Nelson, for the Nashville Smokies. That's
Knoxville Smokies.
Knoxville. Sorry, Knoxville
Hey,
Smoke.
I would take Nashville all day. I would.
Would you?
I would take Nashville all day.
But we're in Knoxville, which is also a great city. That's right. We're gonna make Knoxville feel good today, which is also a great city. The 2A affiliate for the Cubs. Now, I do have to ask you this as a Dodgers fan. Is there any conflict of interest now that you're affiliated with the Cubs one way or another?
No, that's a great question. So my buddy Richie Giuliano, who I'll be working with, he's from Ohio. He's a Cleveland guy, so an Indians, fan growing up, and obviously he's been with the Smokies a couple of years now. So I got to ask him that question. How have you separated the fandom versus whatever? And I don't know if he was as big of a as an Indian fan as I would have been a Dodger fan for the last 22 years, leading up to this position in Major League Sports. But I was telling one of my best friends from home here the other day, it's like I don't think I'm going to be able to be the same Dodger fan that I have been for the last 22 years anymore. Like it may never be going back, and it's just might be something I have to accept. I know I've always kind of thought it in my head. I was out in Milwaukee. They're like, "Oh, you're a Dodger fan." I'm like, "Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I'm here." Like,
Yeah.
which is still the same thing. I'm going to commit everything I have to this Smokies baseball team and making the coverage of this team as top tier as it can get. And so, that's going to involve me pouring my heart and soul into and following this team. So definitely not going to be the same Dodger fan, like I said, as it has been the last 22 years.
And it has to be a little tougher to be, I feel like if you're covering the Cubs, big league, it might be a little easier to still be a Dodgers fan. But seeing these guys come up from 2A and then go to 3A, or maybe even make the jump to the Cubs, like you're really about to like get to know these people like probably on
Oh,
a more personal level than, the big league guys. So
I
I know,
downloaded Duolingo, man. I need to be able to speak to him. I need to refresh my Spanish, man. A lot of these
hey, out
people in the minor leagues.
next time I get like a family plan week for free, I'm gonna send it to you so you can work on it a little bit.
Let's
But
go.
hey, Duolingo, hit me up with the sponsorship by the way, since we're talking.
Yes, sir.
Cut the check. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting though. Any Cubs Dodgers game, you got to make sure you dress neutral at least.
Oh, yeah.
You don't, you
I'll,
don't.
I'll, plenty of places to hide in Wrigley. I'll just wear green. They'll never see me.
There you
Ever.
go. There you go. Well, that'd be cool. So when do you start? When do you call your first game?
Yeah. So the plan right now, like I said, next week I'll be going up to Oregon, kind of help my girlfriend get all of her things in order, and then we'll be going to Tennessee. We'll make it there this last week of March, and yeah, my first day is April 1st. No, I was hoping it's not an April Fool's prank, and I get there and they send me home, but no, it's supposed to be April 1st. The Smokies actually start their schedule on the road for the first 2 weeks of April, so I'll kind of get to, get my bearings in the office and kind of see what it's like during an away game. And it's pretty cool because they got a brand new stadium that's
Like,
just being finished. Like I just saw a TikTok yesterday that they put a time capsule in, and I'm looking at the rest of the kind of area around it. I'm like, this doesn't look like it's going to be ready in a month to be able to host opening day. So,
they'll get to
I'm
it.
still confident the place looks beautiful, that it's going to be ready. But yeah, I'm excited to go ahead and get acquainted with the new digs.
Are you gonna be traveling with the team some or no?
So with their minor league schedule, they don't really travel too far. I do have the option, kind of, if it's convenient for me to go ahead and travel. One of my jobs as the assistant is going to be staying up to date, on Twitter and having graphics ready for those away games, and
Okay.
also prepping game notes and stuff beforehand. So I'll be very involved in the away schedule. So if there are close games, I'll definitely be taking the opportunity to travel.
Okay. So that'd be cool for you on your personal podcast or your personal blogs to try different food.
Oh yes,
Different
yes.
food, different stadiums, man.
That's a good call. I mean, so I did a little bit of that. I, didn't have a good plan, was just kind of trying everything. But yeah, no, I've seen people just go ahead and do that. I've seen one dude, he's trying every hot dog at each spring training location. He's doing all of them this year. It's crazy, man. That's the stuff I love to see. I might have to get some hot dogs, some brat rankings in. You never know. Whether it's that, whether it's something else, we'll find something.
Hey man, you keep opening new doors and more doors are on the other side of that door, man. And I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you're doing your thing. Um, can we talk Dodgers?
We can talk Dodgers, of
I
course.
just I just want to make sure, I don't want no
Do it.
conflict interests, you
No
know.
conflicts here. It's not in the agreement. I can't talk Dodgers, so we're
All
good.
right. All right. So I remember sending you the rotation, 6-man rotation. You're very well versed baseball wise. Is this the best rotation you've ever seen?
It's a good question. I haven't even really thought about it like that. Short answer, yeah, probably.
Probably the only other comp I can think of is that time where the Phillies rolled out Holiday, Cliff Lee, Warren Oswald, and what's my boy name? I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. I'm drawing a blank. He won the World Series with those guys. But it was those four guys with the Phillies back in like the early 2010s. That was close. But
hmm
you guys, I sent you a 6-man rotation and Otani wasn't on there.
They're taking it slow with him. It's really interesting, and one Dodgers rotation that comes to mind that I just remember being really high on. Luckily, the bobbleheads around me reminded me. But Kershaw, Hyunjin Ryu, and Zach Greinke were on the same team for a season where
That
Hyunjin
was-
Ryu and Kershaw were both kind of Cy Young candidates at the time. So I remember that being really, really fun to watch. But I can't imagine it's going to be anything like this because they have, like you said, six legitimate starters with the opportunity to have more. So injuries are going to happen, obviously, and they're going to be ready. So It talent wise, yeah, you could probably argue it's maybe the best rotation of all time, and depth wise, I'd say it's an even easier argument.
All right, so I got a question for you. You're Dave Roberts. You're looking at all this wealth and this plethora of pitchers. Do you go to Otani and say, "We're going to put you in the bullpen"?
No, never. If I'm Dave Roberts and your job is to obviously manage the relationships with the players, but your end of the day, your job is to win. And Shohei Otani is a Cy Young level starting pitcher. And if he can come back there, I'm not saying that he 100% can, then and that, it's going to happen because obviously we've seen guys after two huge surgeries not come back and be them same selves. But for Otani, if I had faith in anybody to do it, it's going to be him. So I'm
He's
excited to see what he's able to produce on the mound. And if he's able to have the longevity of a starting pitcher, there should be no reason that he doesn't stay in that role. And I would love to see him in the bullpen if it was maybe October and,
yeah,
you also have Dustin May down there because you're starting Sasaki, Yamamoto, and Glasnow for games 1, 2, and 3.
and Blake
And
Snell.
oh, you're right.
That's
I
how
forgot about
disgusting it is. That's how disgusting it is. You didn't even mention Blake Snell, who might be the game one starter of any playoff series.
it's tough, man. So, in that scenario, yeah, I think it'd be great because if you want your guy to, obviously he's your best hitter on the team. So if you want him to still be locked in on that level of the game, like they're doing now, they're taking it slow. I'm all for that. And if come October we got 5 aces in the rotation and Otani isn't one of them, then yeah, let's throw him in the pen with Evan Phillips and the rest of that bomb squad down there. Tanner Scott. Oh,
But somebody
so
has to go to the pen, though, right?
I think we're gonna see throughout the year that injuries
Mm,
are inevitable, and it's just going to be maybe one guy ends up in the pen throughout the year,
yeah. Well,
and
the good thing about Clayton Kershaw, I think y'all brought him just to spot start. But that's going to
that's
say
the thing. What were you gonna say about him?
so that's going to save a lot of innings. Like if somebody look, you get this day off, Kershaw, go ahead. That'll save a lot.
Yeah, it's tough for me for Kershaw, man, because I feel like it's pretty obvious the reason that he came back. It's because, he always said like, we just need a ring and then I'm done. Then we got one in 2020 and then it, didn't have the right feel on it. So he comes back battling through injuries. Dodgers go ahead and lose a couple more years and then we get to 2024. Just this season we win it, but he's not a part of it. That's what he wants. He just wants to be a part of the World Series win or at least the run at this point because I'm sure he's ready to give it up. I remember seeing those videos of him running off the field and his big beer belly, but he's getting surgeries. He's trying to get himself back in shape. And there's no one who wants to see Clayton Kershaw back on the mound more than me or more than Dodger fans. But I just don't know what it's going to look like for him. Like you said, it could just be a spot start kind of pitching coach role.
Yeah.
And, hopefully when we get into the playoffs, if he is healthy, I think that's what he's going to be gearing his entire regular season for is to make the playoffs, to be healthy for the playoffs and contribute in that environment. So I think it'd be cool to see if that storybook ending really does come to life for him.
As a huge Clayton Kershaw fan, I want to see him be able to finish on top two.
Yes.
With the beer belly at Yankee Stadium was a terrible way to end it. He looked like the guy who got the A on the project that didn't do much. We all know that kid. I want to smack that kid. I'm thinking about him now. But and I want him to be able to do that. I think his playoff narrative is a little unfair. I think so. If you take out two Cardinal starts, he's been pretty fucking good. As long as you guys don't see the birds, he's pretty good. But it still lingers. It's still that cloud, that conversation of Kershaw isn't a big game pitcher. And I personally don't believe that.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I don't believe that Kershaw is the guy that folds under pressure. I think in those instances, baseball's baseball, man. Sometimes the other team gets the better of you, and maybe there's something that tilts you off your game that one day. But I think everybody knows in their heart that Clayton Kershaw is one of the most ultimate competitors. You don't have a career sub 3 ERA if you're not committing everything you have to this game and being the best. So yeah, I'm really excited to be able to I'm looking forward to that day where I'm saying Clayton Kershaw is going to make his start, and then I'm waiting for that day in October where it's like Clayton Kershaw reporting available for bullpen use or something like that. It's just like yes, yes.
Kershaw coming out in the sixth inning. Give
Oh
you
my god, dude! I got that video of Flaherty on TikTok. That's really what blew up my TikTok for the first time. I got a video of Flaherty waiting in the pen during that Padres series, dude. If I could get that same video for Kershaw, oh,
that'd be amazing.
I'd
That
never make another social media video again. I'd leave that as my last ever.
do you think teams like the Dodgers, right? You guys coming off of a championship. Do you think that the Dodgers have like one of these historic regular seasons, 110, 115 wins, dominate the West? Or does this seem like the year where you like end up with 95 wins, but you still the better team per se? Matter of fact, I think somebody commented on when I was on your podcast and said I feel like the Yankees with health can have the most wins in the MLB. But I also responded to somebody and said the better team doesn't always have the most wins. Do you see two things being true with the Dodgers where they have the best record and they're the best team? Or do you see them kind of coasting through this season to get to the playoffs?
I think it's all going to come down to injuries. From what I've been able to feel, just from the general energy of the Dodgers camp and kind of how they left last year off and how they've entered this year, especially with the veteran presences, they want to win, and it's no doubt. But they also, know they can win. You brought up a good point with coasting. I think that's a thing that teams can really fall into the trap of with a 162 game season, especially when you have the confidence that you're just going to go ahead and make the playoffs already. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure all the Dodgers players, if you asked them on a lie detector machine right now, you said, "Are the Dodgers going to make the playoffs?" And if they said no, they're probably going to be lying. So I, I can't imagine any of these guys have any doubts right now. But baseball, man. Paul Skeens, I love this quote. I've referenced it probably one too many times now, but he says, "Hey man, you got 9 guys out there doing playing fundamental baseball the right way. Anybody has a chance to go ahead and get that win on any given day." And we saw it in baseball last year, how evenly the league was, no 100-win teams. I could very well see the same thing happening again. I know the Dodgers super team is really built up to be, the ideal team to have 100 wins. But honestly, I maybe would even rather have it just like we had it last year with close races and the wild cards all the way up until the end. The division winners aren't exactly set, maybe except for the AL Central and NL Central at the end of the year each time. But hey, man, I would love to see another widely competitive year in the MLB. And I think the Dodgers know where they fall among those teams. And if they're going to have that positioning at the end of the year, they're going to feel just fine about it.
Yeah, I think that's good for baseball. Um, I see the Dodgers between 92 and 97 wins. I think the West, even though the Dodgers got better and they were already better than everybody else, the rest of the West continue to get better too. Even if they didn't catch the Dodgers, like I like what the Diamondbacks did. I think the Padres, I got a box. I don't know if you ever paid attention to this. I have a I don't want to talk about them anymore box. And the Padres are approaching. I don't want to hear about them anymore. I'm sick of the number two team with all the conversation.
Hey, I think I don't think this is a hot take anymore. I think I may have said it on a podcast too, but drop that number 2 team off the front of the Padres, man. They're done. Diamondbacks taking that freaking slot, man. You go out and you get Corbin Burns and you trade Chris or you let Christian Walker go like it's nothing because you went and got Josh Naylor.
Yeah,
In my mind, the Diamondbacks are 10 times the threat the Padres are right now. I think the Dodgers, after beating the Padres in this last year's postseason and then stealing Tanner Scott in the offseason, and
fuck.
then the Padres losing their click guy with Jurickson Profar. I think this team is in shambles right now.
You think
And
so?
the Padres, 100%. They don't know what they lost Blake. They lost their 2 best left-handed pitchers to their in-division rival.
Yeah.
They have no clue what they're doing with their cap space because they have Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado making so much money, as well as Yu Darvish. Who knows? Maybe Yu Darvish's kid is the answer in a year or two. But I mean, hey, man, I think this team is falling apart, and they're really going to need huge contributions and leadership roles for Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis if this team wants to still even compete for the number 2 spot in the NL West.
You know what? I cannot deny that. And they got a what you call a contract, right? Well, what's my boy name from the Red Sox?
Oh, Bogarts, yeah, Bogarts, another guy, huge money, underproductive. It's tough, man. They're not getting what they want out of their big money guys, and unfortunately, they haven't been able to retain any of the key pieces that you need to really make those deep runs. So they're going to be relying on a lot of guys, that haven't necessarily stepped up in the past before.
And then you guys keep not even outbidding them, just outclassing them with all the imports.
This is true, man. You can't outbid anybody in the free agent market or in the international free agent market. You know, they everybody's got those hard caps on how much they can spend on international free agents. And like you said, man, Dodgers just seem to outclass everybody. You know, Roki seemed disrespected by the fact that it came out a few months before he signed that, it seemed like it was already a done deal. He was like, no, 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 no. That's not how I work. I give fair opportunity to everybody. And, I'm going to see through my meetings with these teams. And then obviously he signs with the Dodgers,
It's
which,
like, yeah, right. Like it sounds good until you get the final result. You're like, yeah, sure.
yeah.
Like
So he did his due diligence, and he went around and he got some fan bases excited. But ultimately, man, he, like everybody else, can see that the Dodgers are his best chance to win, while he's not
but
going to be able to make the max amount of money, and could theoretically even arguably be the best team to go ahead and help him get better in that period of time as well.
those two things are true. But there is also one huge factor as a Yankees fan that I just need all Yankees fans to realize. Japanese born players are not coming to the East Coast anymore.
Ask Masahiro Tanaka why not, and then you'll get your answer.
I will ask him that, but also the travel. I'm not gonna lie. If I was from Japan, I would probably want a shorter flight from America back home. That has a lot to do with it. But I will definitely hopefully I can piggyback off your success and I can work my way up to get to Tanaka and figure out how to figure out that question.
Yeah, you'll have to use Duolingo a whole lot more before that interview.
I got you. I got you. I'm definitely gonna work on that.
Yeah,
Um
he had some crazy experiences in New York. I remember hearing reported about just making it seem like the Japanese fan base in New York is just not what you want to be around, because there isn't much of it. So it's just been an unfortunate history with those kinds of players in Yankees past. Obviously, you've seen the peak of it with Hideki Matsui and stuff like that too. But it's tough with how fans are these days, and how players can get degraded depending
yeah,
on any sort of situation.
it gets bad. It gets bad. I mean, you got somebody like Adam Jones whose favorite team was the Red Sox, and he has his reasons why he'll never play there. Fan bases can turn people off. And the Yankees, look, they have their ways that turn a
You
lot
got
of
you
people.
guys reaching at Mookie Betts, and where a whole lot of situations you could think that's really harmless, but then you realize, like, hey, this is a major league baseball player making millions and millions of dollars. You go ahead and injure him as a
Yeah,
Yankees fan, or impact this game in any way.
yeah,
Like, you kidding me? That guy's never going to go see another Yankee game again, and it's really unfortunate.
he's
So
banned, which is crazy. But fans like that shouldn't be able to come back.
this is true.
Shouldn't be able to come back. So I'm not mad at that at all. Um, Reds, Dodgers in the World Series. You calling it?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a disappointment if anything else. You kidding me? Dodgers got to be in the World Series. Book it, on my word.
Bucket. Who they playing in the World Series?
That's a better question right there.
Who's not? Connor, don't do that. Don't do that.
I didn't have an answer to this before coming on, man. You're putting me on the spot. I can give you with complete certainty it's no team from the AL Central. I gotta imagine the AL West. I've literally got the standings right here in front of my wall. The AL West. I can't imagine anybody really making a push. The team in the World Series is going to come from the AL East, from the AL side. I think that's a fair thing to say.
You can say it, Connor. It's a Yankees friendly podcast, so you can say it. No one's gonna be mad
I'm
at you.
gonna I'm gonna say the Yankees, man. You're
Thank
right.
you.
I'll lean into it. Why not? Let's
Thank,
let's see the rematch. That's
thank
gonna, you know
you.
what?
Thank
I
you.
Now that I've said it out loud, I can't think of a single reason why I wouldn't want it to happen. You know what?
Thank you.
Let's go get the Dodgers Yankees rematch. Let's get this rivalry back up and
Thank
going, man.
you.
That's what I
Now,
want to see.
now I'm a Yankees fan, but I'm also a realist. I'm down for this World Series so we can get smacked 4-1 again. At least we're back in the World Series. All right.
But imagine what kind of revenge story that would have for the Yankees, man. After being beat by a super team 2 years in a row, you got to go out and spend the most money you've ever had in your
Yeah,
entire career.
that's when we get Vladimir Guerrero.
See, man, and then you get the three-peat
And we,
in the World Series
and
with,
we
the
stopped the
two super teams. Who knows, man?
that's when we stopped the three-peat. Yeah, you guys beat us. We are all defeated and down, and then we go get Vladimir Guerrero.
Yeah, you'll have to
Um,
blurt out the three-peats too, or else we're gonna get trademarked by
oh yeah,
Pat
yeah.
Riley.
He was
Dang,
smart. I'm not gonna lie.
Pat genius. No, genius. You kidding me? We didn't make any merch. We're good.
I see they have Juan Soto favorite for MVP.
Um, no,
No
no fun.
fucking way.
No, well, I mean, sure, but like, what? That's no fun. It's not fun saying Juan Soto's going to go ahead and be the MVP. You know what I just said on my Brewers podcast that I
What's that?
want to throw out here too? We were
What?
talking Brewers. Garrett Mitchell is one of my favorite baseball players. He went to UCLA. I saw him in college. I saw him work his way up. Just a beast.
Okay.
I think he'll be, if he plays a full 162 game healthy season, 150 plus at least, 140 plus at least, he's going to be top 5 in MVP voting in the NL. Garrett Mitchell, remember the name.
You know this is going on social media, right?
Oh, 100%. I'll be putting it on social media too. So I'll probably get blamed if it doesn't happen real tough because I have a lot of friends out in
Hey,
Milwaukee who are
but
ready to ride that with me.
that's part of this business, though. That's the fun part of it, being right and wrong.
Hey man, dude, he's got every single tool you could imagine. He's 90th something percentile in sprint speed, hard hit rate. It's just he's got to be on the field and he's got to stop swinging at fastballs at his chin. And if
Yeah,
Garrett Mitchell can do that, top 5 MVP voting, mark my words.
I think for Juan Soto, he is going to have a spotlight on him that he's never had before, even playing for the Yankees last year. And they're going to highlight his flaws like never before. And it's really going to hurt his value in the public perception. You can't hurt his value in his bank account because the contract signed.
Of
But
course.
public perception, it is going to ruin how they look at Juan Soto, especially because Citi Field outfield is bigger than Yankee Stadium. So it's going to be a lot more blunders out there.
And since we're talking NL MVP, I need to say the words Shohei Ohtani because if this dude gets on the mound, if it's in a bullpen role, if it's in a starting pitching role, and if he even, minimally comes back with the same amount of hitting numbers that he was able to put up last year, this dude should win the MVP unanimously, unless Soto go ahead and breaks an MLB record.
Yeah.
Should.
Shohei give us what? About a 3.2, 3.3 ERA, bats around 300, give you 40 home runs. Like what else does he have to do?
Exactly. So, if he's on the field, I hate to say it for everybody else in the NL, but you can be rooting for second place.
Oddly enough, and it's not fair to him, but if he comes back and he's like the Angels Shohei Ohtani, they may have to create a award for him. It's unfair. Like it's like no one pitches and hits. Like he
Yeah,
might
that's a great point. I think it would continue to encourage more players who are doing that. Obviously, it's so just insane to think about people, continuing to do that at the highest level. But I'm sure there's other freak athletes out there who can go ahead
well,
and make it happen.
well, I can ask you this because you've played college ball. And I think about Paul Skeens. The year before he dominated pitching at LSU, he was a position player and he hit, right?
Yeah, happens to a whole lot of these major league athletes.
Why does it seem like, and now with the universal DH, you don't get to highlight it as much. But why does it seem like once you get to the big league level as a pitcher, the idea of hitting just totally leaves their body? It's like Space Jam when you touch the ball and the Monstars took your juice.
I
Like
think one of the best examples of this, which that isn't from Space Jam, because that was sick. Sorry, I needed to acknowledge that. I cut you off there. But Hunter Green, a guy who went to Notre Dame High School, a guy I had the chance to be on the same field just to see him work my freshman year. He was the best defensive shortstop I've ever witnessed with my own two eyes. And
wow.
I've been to plenty Major League Baseball games. Obviously, we know this dude throws 100 off the mound. And his arm, reaction time, everything at shortstop was just the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. And he's, slow roller. The guy had perfect mechanics, footwork, all of it. And that solely made me think that, whatever he could produce with the stick, like he was going to be valued as a two-way player. And obviously this was before Shohei Ohtani has broken into the big leagues at that point. So he gets drafted by the Reds, number 2 overall, because he was kind of pushing the fact that he did want to try to go be a two-way player, but the Reds basically said, if we're picking you at two, you're going to come be our 100-mile-an-hour throwing pitcher. So, you know, it's tough, man. I think it's the organization's decision. I think the way you phrased it, it may be, you know, how pitchers don't think about hitting anymore. I think a lot of them do, 100%. Because I know I still do every day. Even if I know that I wouldn't be, the best hitter in the room, you still think about hitting all the time. So I'm sure Paul Skeens is with that. He's trying to sneak into the cage when nobody's watching because I'm sure it's in his contract that he can't be doing stupid stuff like that to go get
I'm
hurt.
pretty sure.
He's doing it for sure.
Yeah, because I think about, what, 5, 6 years ago, however long it's been since they did the universal DH. You have people like Madison Bumgarner who might go yard if you give them something. And then you have some pitchers, the bat wouldn't even leave their shoulder. Like they're just up there because it's protocol. And it makes me think, I'm like, well, damn, like what happened? I know at some point you weren't always a pitcher, whether it was little league, middle school, high school, some college. At some point you swung a bat and it seemed like it's a total foreign instrument in their hands sometimes.
Yeah, there's definitely, I remember that huge discussion when the universal DH was getting implemented, and
Hate it, by the way.
people were arguing over the fact that, yeah, what should do. What were you saying though?
I hate the universal DH, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I with the pitching part of everything, I just think that it was tough to watch those pitchers, like you said, who wouldn't take the bat off their shoulders. But I think that those kinds of pitchers outweigh the amount of pitchers like Madison Bumgarner who were just going up there and legitimately swinging it. So I understand. But yeah, it's definitely a fun aspect of the game that we don't see anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I miss the strategy of the NL. Like it separated the leagues. Like with a universal DH, is almost no need to have NL, AL.
I thought it was really cool to see in the playoffs too, when you would have the World Series and you'd have that AL team that's got to go not play a DH for the first time, and they like with the Red Sox and JD Martinez when the Dodgers were playing them. That was one of the biggest, I thought, impacts of the series. It's like, okay, JD Martinez is going to go have to play left field. Like this
Yes.
is huge, their career DH, but obviously didn't really end up
And think
impacting.
about like the how that impact the All-Star game when that used to matter. Home field
Exactly.
like that, having a DH or not having a DH was a big deal throughout the whole sport, and it trickled down All-Star game, which made the All-Star game more competitive. It just made to me, it made the sport better, personally. But hey, I'm small potatoes to the big bad MLB. But as a fan, as somebody who's trying to cover, holla at your boy. I can help make baseball a little bit better. You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
do it. I'm excited. I'm excited, man. They're gonna keep implementing new stuff. You see these other leagues like the NBA and just struggling to find ways to bring eyes to those biggest events in their sport. And I do think the MLB has that advantage with the All-Star game and that kind of, anything can happen on any given day. So, there's no room for lack of effort in baseball because it'll get exposed real quick.
This is true. That's what I try and tell my son. It's the most individual team sport I feel like it ever is. Because when you're in the batter's box, you still don't want to get struck out. I don't care if it's 11-0. Either way, you know what I'm saying. You still want to do your job.
Yep.
Um, one more thing, and I'm gonna let you go. Automatic balls and strikes. How you feel about it? Ooh, as a pitcher too. Like, how do you feel about that?
Um, I'm gonna go ahead and I haven't put too much thought into this, but I'm going to go ahead and agree with Max Scherzer on this. I'm not sure if you've heard his take. He's not a big fan of this new implementation with the automatic balls and strikes and the challenging system because he believes that we have guys back there who do the job better than anybody else in the world. You watch the playoffs, you don't have these games being impacted by impartial calls
Yeah,
because one, there's the review system, and then there's two, there's guys who can call a 99% accurate game behind the dish. There's
yeah,
just not as many of them as we'd like to see. So what Scherzer's proclamation is that umpiring needs to be treated like the major leagues. If you're not cutting it, if your accuracy rate gets below a certain clip, you're bounced down to AAA. And the best guys get the best, highest profile games, and then the guys with the highest accuracy percentages will obviously continue to do the playoffs like it has been in the past. But you know, I think it could be cool. I think it could really negatively impact some games like we've never seen. Baseball be changed before. But who knows? Could be interesting. But I think they need to treat it with caution for sure. Bringing a system like that into the game.
I think I haven't actually had a chance to see it in action live, so I don't know what it does time-wise for the game.
Oh, it's quick.
Okay. I will, because I was going to say that you can't do all this to make the game quicker, and then we go to a crazy long review session. Because if you watch an NBA game, it takes way too long to review a call. NFL game, it takes way too long to review a call. Baseball already has its dull periods in it. It doesn't need to be one. But me personally, I've said this before. I said it on a podcast a couple weeks ago. I like the human element of sports. I don't mind a bad call, personally. You know why? Because when you're watching a movie and you see a crazy plot twist, it makes you more intrigued. And a ref or ump making a bad call in the middle of a game, that's the plot twist in the movie. That's the plot twist in the book. We be like, holy shit, we thought it was going this way, and he just totally made us go left. So
Yeah,
that
nope. No press is bad press, baby. Love it.
I love it. As long as you're not fucking up perfect games at first base, we're good.
Thank you for bringing that up. But hey, man, if I wasn't seeing Boone go attack an umpire every other week, what else would I be looking forward to tuning in to the Yankees for
You
as a not
know,
Yankee?
now we're
Come on.
not going to get the Aaron Boone rant. And guess what? Now
We're
Aaron
not going to get
Boone.
the John Boy breakdown afterwards either. We need those.
So now Boone has no fucking purpose as the Yankees manager. Boom.
Then managers become scapegoats if they just can't argue with umpires anymore. They're just the tools to go ahead and say, yeah, here's the face that screwed everything up.
Boom. That's you. That's you.
God
All
bless.
right, man. We're gonna wrap this up, man. I appreciate you being on. Connor, you got anything you want to say to the people?
Last thing I want to say to the people, if you don't know the Yellow Tape King, I didn't do my full research before the pod. Got to go check out the music too.
Oh,
Little sneak peek,
yes,
please. Please go check out the music from
yes,
Tony. It's
yes,
lit.
yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, man, I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you, Connor, for being on. The Smokies have a new baseball fan. Uh, gonna need some tickets. I'm gonna have to come up there and see y'all. Take my son up there to check y'all out. Shout out to everybody who listen. I say this every week. The numbers keep piling up, going up on everything on social media, on YouTube. Everything is growing, and it's all because of people who listen. So make sure y'all share, y'all subscribe, y'all like, y'all tell a friend, and tell a friend, and tell a cousin, and y'all make sure y'all get back with me, man. Peace.